Welcome to the second project in my Christmas in July series for 2025. Today we're going to put together these cute little rosettes that I'm using in a banner, but they can be used in many different things, and we'll talk about that a little later. First, we need to gather some supplies, and so I'm getting my papers and printables from Creative Fabrica, and I'll put all the links below. First of all, I'm printing out the papers that I'm using for the rosettes in some old song paper, and I'm just printing that out on regular copy paper. Then for the centers of my rosettes, I'm actually printing out stickers, and I do print and cut those on cardstock. I just like that firmer paper to use for these. So I'm setting everything up on the Cricut. If you would like a video that shows how to do the print and cut option from printables, let me know in the comments below and I can go through that and show you how I do that. So I've got all these stickers printed out. They are going to now be cut out, and I can choose to use those on this project, and what's even greater is I've got plenty more that I will be using in future projects. I'm taking these off the cutting mat now, and everything print and cut out very nicely, and we're ready to get started on the actual rosettes. So like I said, I printed out the music sheets on regular copy paper. I like to use that for my rosettes. If you think you need something a little sturdier, use cardstock. The way my printer prints, there is a white edge on these 8.5 by 11 inch printables, and it's really no problem for me. I just set that up over here with my cutter, and I'm going to trim those white edges off. And for the rosettes that I am putting together, they are going to make use of 2-inch strips. So I'm able to get about 4 different strips out of each sheet that I'm trimming here. There's a little bit more than 8 inches, but with the 8.5 sheet and then the little edges, it comes out to be about, I would guess, maybe about 8.25. And so there's going to be a little bit of a leftover, but I start by cutting out these 2-inch strips. Now, I don't print on the back of these sheets just because the way I'm using the rosette, I don't expect the back side to be showing, but if you think you may have something that is visible from the back, you may want to print on the back side of the sheet as well, but I did not do that here. So one sheet, I have 4 2-inch strips. I'm putting together more than one rosette, so I've got many little 2-inch strips ready, but I'm going to move on and show you now the part of the scoring. So basically on this strip that is a little less than 11 inches, we are going to want to score every 1/2 inch. So I just lined this up on a number on the right side. It just works that way best for me being right-handed, and because those 1/2 inch scoring marks are kind of close together, I just try to do as many as I can from the right side, and then I will shift over a little bit more to the right. Again, it's just personal preference and how I'm doing it, but basically we're scoring at every 1/2 inch on this 2-inch strip. When we get to the end, I'm holding this up here, and you can actually, I see the scoring lines better on that white side. So sometimes I may end up flipping over and folding on the white side. It's just easier for me to see. But now we're just going to start doing an accordion or a fan fold on these strips. So you fold up, then back, up, then back. Remember the days of making fans? We used to do that when it was hot out of sheets of paper. Well, that's an accordion fold, and that's what we're going to just do here. You want to make sure that the fold is in line, and like I said, this is where sometimes that little 1/2 inch strip gets me. My fingers get in the way, but I want to make sure I'm exactly or as close as I can to that 1/2 inch scoring line, and then just really fold those down to make the crisp fold. It just makes everything easier in the end when we're going to line everything up together. These rosettes that we're making have a 4-inch diameter, so I'm using 2 of the 2-inch strips to form these rosettes, and that's going to give us that 4-inch diameter. So I'm going to need 2 sheets of strips per accordion. So I'm just continuing on, and I noticed on some of these that I did, because it wasn't exactly an even number, not exactly 11 inches or 11 and a half, sometimes I have a little bit extra, and so I just trimmed that off. We can make things work. Now it's going to be time to glue these together. Now here's the rule of thumb. What I do, I don't take a lot of time thinking about if I fold down first or up first, that sort of thing. I'm just going to make it work when I start to glue the pieces together. Sometimes it lines up so that the accordion just continues. That's what we want, and that's just with one fold attached. That's how it turned out here. Now you're going to see on the next side I have to actually glue over on 2 folds to make that work. I am using both my tape runner and glue. The tape will help set it in place, and then the glue is going to give it that longer, more permanent glued piece together. So I've got the one together. Now we're going to need to fold around, or like match it up again, and see how at that point, if I had glued the ends together, our accordion fold would have been off. So I'm going to have to double up and put glue on 2 of the little fold areas. In this case, it doesn't matter which one you put the glue on, which is on the bottom or which one you're gluing on top of, but I really like the look of that holly leaf and the little berries, and so I wanted that to be on top, just for that little bit of color to poke through. So we're just going to line those up, and we will push them together and just push together and get a firm hold on those glued pieces. To get ready for the next part, I'm going to take a piece of brown cardstock. This is whatever you want to use, and I'm using a 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to punch that out, and we're going to make use of it as we're putting it together. Now rosettes are, to me, fairly easy to put together, but it is, at this point, I wish I had 3 hands or somebody to help. It's easy to put them together and form that rosette there, and it's just by pushing those middle pieces together. But I like to put some glue on the rosettes, and I use the hot glue gun. Here's where I'm going to use that little brown circle, and so I've tried to work around the easiest way. I'm going to put the brown on the circle itself here, using one hand to try to hold the rosette together, and then pick up that brown piece and flip it over and put it right in the center. And I like using hot glue because it dries pretty quick, but if you'll notice there, you still, when you flip it over on the front, you have to hold it together because it's not putting it together in the center. It's not holding it. So I like to put just a little bit of the hot glue on the front center because I know I'm going to cover that up. It doesn't matter that the glue's there. I decided that I wanted to use glitter with these rosettes, and I know some people don't like to get the glitter out, but I say go ahead and get the glitter out. So I'm just using some regular Elmer's glue. I like to put it on a little plate here, and then I want to roll around the edges of the rosette. And I've tried different techniques about how to use the glue and glitter on this. That is one technique. Sometimes I will just get the glue bottle and just squirt around the edges. But when you use this technique here, you're also getting a lot of the glue on the outside piece of that rosette, as well as not just on the inner portions of the end there. So I'm doing that, and this is the first one I put together, so I'm having to sprinkle out the glitter. Once I get some glitter in my plate, I also go about like I did with the glue and just slowly rotate the rosette in the glitter. And so we'll get it around the edges, and we've got our rosette edges covered nicely. So these are the 4 rosettes that I have ready. I've also got another one already ready, and I'll show that to you. I'm going to use the stickers in the center of my rosettes, and I call them stickers, but I just printed those out on cardstock, but they were labeled as stickers in Creative Fabrica. And I love the little vintage look. This Christmas tree right here is the reason that I chose these stickers, because I loved that Christmas tree. So I knew I wanted to use that. I'm going to save the others that I put aside and go with these 4 that I'm choosing and putting out in the centers of the rosettes. Once I have those chosen, I'm going to go back to my hot glue and use those to apply these little images to the centers of the rosette. And now you see, even though I used the hot glue to hold the rosette together in the middle, it's covered up now by these cute little vintagey images. And you can use any images that you want. I've seen other different ways. You could use other shapes, other kinds of Christmassy paper. And now I want to also put a little bit of red glitter glue on the different pieces. It just adds a little bit of extra. And my glitter glue is kind of a little sticky, so it was hard to kind of get this on the little bitty berry dots that I have, but it ended up looking really good. It just adds that little bit of extra to the images. I'm going to give that some time to dry. And then for some of these other images, I used a little bit of the Wink of Stella, as you can see on the little mitt there, and I'll also put it all around this entire Christmas tree. You can see a little bit of the glitter. And for this one, I think I'm going to try to add a little bit of the red glitter glue, but it didn't really need a lot. It's just a cute little image itself. And so now my 5 rosettes are ready. I went with the odd number. I decided I was going to make a banner with my 5 rosettes, and so I took some of this twine that I actually got on for clearance at the end of Christmas last year from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to place the 5 rosettes on the twine, and then I can choose to put those in different places. I've got one spot that I always like to do a banner, and so this will work great. But there are other options of things you can do. You could use twine and make Christmas ornaments with this. I've even seen people use pipe cleaners to use as the hanging instead of something like twine, because these are a little heavy. And so that's why, as I'm putting the twine on the back of this with that brown piece, I'm going to go ahead and get another brown piece of cardstock, the circle, and we're going to sandwich that twine in. That works really well and seems to help hold that twine in place. There are just so many different things that you can do with these rosettes, and I love how they turned out. I'm going to be planning to use them this way, but I'll either make some more or I may use them in a different way. So rosettes are so fun, and grab some paper. You can make different sizes of these. They can take on totally different looks depending on the paper you use and then the different embellishments. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will be back next time for another Christmas in July video.